All right, good evening. Welcome to the North Carolina Department of Transportation's virtual public meeting for the Gordon Road Widening Project in New Hanover County, also known as State Transportation Improvement Program, or STIP, project number U6202. I'm Jamil Robbins. I'm the Public Involvement, Community Studies, and Visualization Group Leader with the department and your moderator for tonight's meeting. With me today, from our Division of Highways, Division 3, we have our Division Project Team Lead, David Leonard. We have our Project Manager, Brian Harding. And we have from our Division Right-of-Way Office, our Senior Agent, Mr. Ben Socks. From HNTB, the private engineering firm we hired to assist us with the development of this project, we have James Bird, Kat Bakawi, Doug Wheatley, and Andrew Bell. Also with us tonight, we have Mr. Mike Kozlowski, who is the Executive Director of the Wilmington Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization. And I'm not sure we have any other local officials with us. Mike, are there any other officials with us tonight?
Jamil, this is Mike. I know Commissioner Hayes had expressed an interest in attending. I'm not sure if she's on the line yet or not, but she did express an interest in participating. So,
okay, all right.
I also know that the swearing in ceremony, the city council chambers here in a little bit. So there'll be a number of local officials that will be attending that meeting as well.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you, Mike. All right, let's get moving. We'll start with, let's cover some quick ground rules before we jump into it. Again, please close, we recommend closing all other applications for your best experience. I was able to eliminate the ability to turn on your webcams. But if for some reason you do have that ability, please try to turn those off. So to participate, you have a control panel on the right side of your screen. You scroll down at the bottom, there's a chat feature. In that chat box at the to prompt, there's a caret. If you click on that, there's a prompt for send questions to staff. Make sure you select that and send in any comments or questions that you have during my presentation. Once I get to the public comment portion, then I will answer those questions in the order in which they are received. But I do want to be clear that there may be some questions that we can't answer tonight, and that's okay. We'll take those back with us and discuss those and get a proper answer for you. Also, this meeting is being recorded. Now, the purpose of today's this evening's virtual public meeting, simply put, is to make you, the public, a part of the project development process. It's just another important step in our continual efforts to make you a part of the process. Specifically tonight, we want to get your input on the proposed design of the project. Now, project information along with the public meeting maps can be accessed at our public input site. The link and the QR code is listed here. I will pause just for about 10 seconds if you want to hold your phone up and use the QR code to get to that site. All right. So let's talk a little bit about your participation. Your input and your participation into this process is extremely important, not just for this project, but for any DOT project. All comments, no matter how they are submitted, carry the same weight. We have provided you multiple ways to participate in this process, and you participate by making your voices heard. And you can do that by one, submitting your comments tonight during the public comment portion. You can also go to our website where there is a link to our, the link is for our public engagement portal. You can also send an email to our to the Gordon Road-Widening@publicinput.com email address. And say you're not a big fan of computers, you can call your comments or questions in using the project hotline. And those comments will be automatically transcribed into our database, and we can follow back up with you. If you have a carrier pigeon, you can send that in too. But the point is, I really want to make is that, and I can't stress enough the importance of getting feedback to us. And the comment period ends on January 3rd of 2022. So you may be asking yourself, what is done with the input that we received? Well, once the comment period is ended, we will hold what is known as, well, in this case, I guess you could call it a post-virtual public meeting. At this meeting, staff from various units across the department will convene to discuss all the comments that have been received during the comment period. And we will incorporate those public comments into the design of the project where feasible. But I do want to be clear that the department cannot take public comments into consideration alone in making these decisions. We have to balance that against good sound engineering criteria, such as safety, which is our #1 goal. We also have to look at the impacts to the natural and human environment. We have to look at operations as well as costs. So it's a balancing act, but it ensures that at the end of the day, we put the best product on the ground for the citizens of North Carolina. So now let's start with the why of the project, or the foundation of the project. And in transportation terms, that is known as the purpose and need. The purpose of this project is to improve the capacity and reduce congestion along Gordon Road, and is intended to aid in managing the growth that the Wilmington area has been experiencing. Now, the proposed improvements are consistent with the long-range transportation plans for the local municipalities within the study area, the local governments within the Wilmington Urban Area Metropolitan Planning Organization, as well as NCDOT, have included this project in their adopted plans. Now, the funding for this project is currently state funding using Build NC bonds. But because there may be an opportunity to use federal funds, we are preparing a federal categorical exclusion for the environmental document type, just in case. So to meet the purpose and need of the project, again, the foundation of the project, the proposed design would improve about 2.5 miles of Gordon Road by widening to a total of 4 travel lanes. That's 2 travel lanes in each direction, from I-40 to US 17 on Market Street in New Hanover County. Now, the proposed typical section will include 2 11-foot travel lanes in each direction with curb and gutter, with a 10-foot multi-use path on the north side. The project would install what are known as reduced conflict intersections, which would redirect motorists from side streets without traffic signals into turning right. So it'd be right in, right out only onto Gordon Road for a lot of intersections. If you want to go make a left turn, you make a right, you go down a certain distance to a U-turn bulb or to a signal, you make a U-turn to make that left turn. But I will play a short video explaining reduced conflict intersections in just a few minutes. Project impacts. We won't go, this is a snapshot of the impacts based on the preliminary designs, but I will point out the one that I think most people would be interested in, and that is the estimated residential relocations. And again, that's based on the preliminary design, and what we're showing is our worst case scenario at this point. But right now, based on that design, we are estimating a potential of 14 residential relocations and no businesses. Project costs, again, we look at the project development and design, right-of-way acquisition or property acquisition. That is the acquisition of all the property that will be needed to not only construct the project, but to maintain it. Utility relocation and construction costs all come up to $49 million. And again, these are preliminary estimates and subject to change. Project schedule, the environmental document, that categorical exclusion I just talked about, is expected to be completed in spring of 2022. The right-of-way acquisition phase will begin next summer, with construction right now scheduled to begin in the summer of 2024. In talks with some of our division staff, we believe that the construction time would range anywhere from 3 to 4 years. And again, those schedules are subject to change. We'll talk a little bit about the maps. I'm going to quickly go through the maps. The maps are available online, but when you see the maps, each map has a color-coded legend that represents the proposed improvements. The video on our website will explain how to read those maps. And there's also a video explaining reduced conflict intersections. So we'll start at the western end of the project. Let me pick my laser pointer real quick. And so starting on the western end, heading east toward Market Street, the improvements begin just east of Briarwood Road. In this area, we're providing an additional through lane through this intersection. An additional, if you're heading westbound, there will be an additional left turn lane onto College Road. Continuing west, the I-40 on and off ramps, this intersection with Gordon Road. There's no real big change here other than it will be signalized. Heading west, heading east, there will be a leftover into the provided for the Shell station. And then your next full movement intersection will be at Blunt Drive. And then next we have a leftover at heading eastbound onto Lake Emerald Drive. Continuing to the east, on map 2, you come to the next full movement intersections are at Harris Road and at White Road. And you'll see there's a big additional pavement here for a U-turn bulb to accommodate your larger wheelbase vehicles. And then your next leftover heading eastbound is onto Daniel Boone Trail. And then there's a leftover if you're heading westbound onto the community opposite Daniel Boone Trail. I don't know what the name of that road is. All right, and continuing to the east, we come to a leftover at Vorals Lane. I hope I pronounced that correctly, right here. And and then the westbound, there is a leftover onto Wood Sorrel Road. And then we come to continuing east, there is a full movement intersection at Farrington Farms Drive, followed by another at Netherlands Drive. And then finally, to the end of the project, there will be a leftover eastbound into the Cape Harbor Apartments. Now, let me, I want to play, we created a visualization, a 3D rendering fly through of the project. I want to play that for you right now. It's about 3 minutes long. There is no audio to it, so it'll be quiet, but you can watch this video showing a 3D rendering of the proposed designs. Here we go. All right. So let me wrap up here and we'll get to the most important part, which is the public comment period. But I just want to cover, last thing I want to cover is the right-of-way procedures. So once decisions are made regarding the final design of the project, our location and surveys unit will go out and stake the limits of the project in the ground. If you are an affected property owner, a right-of-way agent will come out and meet with you. They will explain the plans to you, how it affects you as a property owner, and your rights as a property owner. Now, if permanent right-of-way is required from you, then an appraisal will be done. Based on that appraisal, a right-of-way agent will come back and make a written offer to you. That written offer will be based on the current market value of that property at its highest and best use. Now, in this process, the department must treat all owners and tenants equally. We must fully explain the owner's rights. We must pay just compensation in exchange for property rights. And we must furnish relocation advisory assistance. So that is, if your property is to be acquired and you're being displaced as a part of the project, then additional assistance in the form of advice and monetary compensation is available. But if anyone has detailed right-of-way questions, I suggest you contact Ben Socks, who is on this meeting tonight. And Ben, I would ask if you don't mind to put your email or phone number in the chat box. But Ben and his staff are very knowledgeable and very good at what they do, and they can let you know what you should expect throughout that process. Now, with that said, we are at the public comment period. And so hopefully, I'm sure there's some questions. We have, let me pull up. Okay, we do have some questions. So I will go through each question in the order in which they are received. And I will read the question and then, okay, I believe we already answered that. The first question was from Lindsay Trion, and hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Let's see, go back. Make this box a little bit bigger. Okay, the first question was from Lindsay Trion was, I'm assuming the residential relocations will be through eminent domain. What assurances are there that those who are relocated will be compensated appropriately? That does not force them out of the area given the rise in house prices. And again, I think Andrew put some information pointing to our right-of-way brochures and information online. And I just spoke to the right-of-way process. And so hopefully that answers your question. Second, where are the residential relocations on Gordon Road? Have the residents been notified? So when you look at those, the mapping, when you see any of the colors, so the brown represents buildings, you know, homes or businesses. And if you see any of the other colors go through a brown a building, then the likelihood of relocation is higher. Ben, do you, I don't know if you have a list of the preliminary relocation report, but would you like to speak to that? I think you're muted.
Sorry, we don't have a list. We have some that we're looking at, and we plan on contacting them early next year to get the ball rolling. But if anybody has any specifics to addresses or anything like that, they can gladly contact our office and we can speak to them personally.
Okay. Thank you, Ben. Let's see. Sorry, my dialog box disappeared on me. Next question we have from Travis Capps. He says, I live off of Gordon Road on Blackberry Road. Where is the first designated U-turn? Will this U-turn have a traffic signal to stop traffic, or will I have to make a U-turn into 2 lanes of oncoming traffic? Let me pull up a map.
Jamil, that's the road just west of the I-40 interchange. So we're just adding a lane out front, so you'll be able to take a left out of Blackberry Road like you do today. So no change.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Next question we have again from Lindsay Treon. Unprotected left turns are much easier than unprotected U-turns. Has there been an impact study on how much traffic may move to the neighborhoods and side streets due to people not being able to safely make a U-turn? That's a good question. We do, as the video stated, our reduced conflict intersection design is a very efficient design in moving through traffic. We don't feel that, I don't believe there's been an impact study to see how much traffic would be diverted. I will stop and ask Doug or James or Kat if they've done such a study. But I will say, while waiting, the reduced conflict intersection design is extremely safe in making those U-turns. We've seen when you compare it to conventional intersections, a reduction in almost, I believe the number is 45% or maybe even more in the amount of crashes.
Yeah, Jamil, Andrew Bell was on the call, and he is our traffic engineer for the project. He's probably the best person to answer that question.
Okay, Andrew?
Yeah, sure thing. So, when it comes to reduced conflict intersections, there are obviously going to be a lot of questions and a lot of, positive benefits, and there are some things that are going to be different. And one of those, things is that it's going to impact the route that folks along the side streets take to get from where they are, either across the street or to the left. Safety benefits of RCIs are quite substantial. They've been studied for quite some time now, since they've been around, and the safety benefits are absolutely crucial to recommending this type of facility. So in terms of being rerouted to other facilities in the area, we found that to be minimal, mostly due to the fact that once the RCIs are implemented, folks realize that taking a right and then making a U-turn actually saves them time in the long run, rather than taking a parallel facility or taking a neighborhood street 99 times out of 100. So understandable that there's there are questions to be answered, but the benefits are there, and they are and they're documented.
Yeah, and I would again encourage you to go to the website and look up the information that we have on reduced conflict intersections. There've been tons of study. We actually have a study underway right now looking at the economic impact, updated study with UNCW underway right now. The next question we have, thank you, Andrew. The next question we have is from Terry Lansdale. And there are no indicators that any other service or safety considerations are made for active transportation users within the roadway right-of-way. I'm not sure how to answer that. If you wouldn't mind providing some clarification so we make sure we get a proper answer for you. Or Kat, do you?
It sounds like this person may be asking about like accommodations for bicyclists and pedestrians as active transportation users. And we do have a 10-foot multi-use path planned for the northern side of Gordon Road for most of the length of the project.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That might. Okay. Ashley Goodell, are you muted? I assume that was when I was playing the videos and it was quiet with the visualization. Can you explain if Cape Harbor Apartments is affected besides the no more left-hand turn lane? No, that is, you are restricted to right in, right out, but you do have the leftover, the eastbound leftover into the apartment complex. So there are no other anticipated impacts to the apartment complex. How will we be able to enter CVS from Gordon Road? Doug, do you want to take that?
There we go. So the other project that this project ties to, which is U4751 Military Cutoff Project, is installing a median down Gordon Road through that area. So coming, I guess, eastbound on Gordon Road, you could make a U-turn at the signal with Market Street and then turn right into CVS. And then coming out of CVS, take a right heading west back down Gordon Road.
All right. The next question from Amanda Hatcher is, will the power lines be moved? And she also asked, will the power lines be put underground? You want to talk about it, Doug?
Sure. We placed the road so that most of the widening is to the south of Gordon Road in hopes to leave as many utilities in place as possible. Obviously, we can't guarantee that everywhere, so they will need to be relocated. We have not gotten to that phase of design yet. We're still at the preliminary phase. But typically, if it does need to be replaced, it usually is 20 feet outside of the DOT right away. And in this case, it's roughly 20 feet north of the multi-use path you see in the maps. That gives you a good general swath where it could go at this point.
Okay. Thank you, Doug. Next question again is from Terry Lansdale. The advancement of vehicular momentum does not represent a safe design speed for the facility in regards to non-vehicle users. All right. I'll take that as a comment noted. Jesse Kennedy. Does the relocation compensation include compensation for inflation? It's a good question. Ben, could you speak to that?
Sure. All our appraisals and estimates are done as if you were selling your home or your property on the public market today. So if you are a relocatee, it's basically like selling your house, on the open market. We would use that appraisal, and that value is negotiable once we make an offer.
All right. Thanks, Ben. The next question is from Allison Butcher. Are streetlights going to be added along the new walkway? I believe the answer is no, but the signals at the corresponding intersections would affect that. Doug, do you want to speak to that, or?
I can a little bit. Like you said, a lot of times we will light the signalized intersections for pedestrian crossings, but the gaps between those crossings, I don't believe we have a plan for lighting at this time. That's always where these comments come in handy to spur the conversation when we have time to add that. So that could be a conversation moving forward for those other locations.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Next from Sean Rowan. What does it mean if your house is brown in your rendering? The brown is just the typical symbology or the way we show buildings or homes on our mapping. It doesn't mean, they're all shown as brown, but if, again, you want to pay attention to see where those other colors might cross that brown or go through it, then that would probably indicate a potential relocation. The next one is from Buffy Andrews. She says, hello, why are we not extending this project all the way to Kerr Avenue? I think it would make sense to go ahead and continue the project all the way down so as to provide access for bikers to be able to begin accessing more opportunities for alternative transportation other than cars or buses. Any reason for stopping short instead of extending all the way from Military Cutoff to Kerr Avenue? Ben, do you want to, Brian, do you want to take this question? Is there another project in the STIP for that section?
So, one second. Let's see, there you go. I don't know right now if there's any other project, or not that I know of, for extending that section of Gordon Road, but I do know there is a city access project for either a multi-use path or a sidewalk on North College Road. So where our sidewalk ends at the intersection of North College and Gordon Road, across from there, there's I know there's a proposed project for I think a new multi-use path to connect that part of Gordon Road further up North College to, in the direction of Murrayville Road. But I'm not sure that they have a layout for that, but I know that would provide more accessibility for the non-vehicular traffic. But I don't know anything. I don't think there's any project for widening Gordon beyond where our limits are.
Okay, Mike Kozlowski, if you're still on and you can unmute, are you aware of any project?
Yeah, Jamal, it's a project that we've submitted through prioritization, but it's not been funded and it's not in this step.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. Next, again, we have Terry Lansdale. There's a categorical exclusion of access to non-vehicular facilities on one side of the project. Can you explain how you prioritize turn lanes over sidewalks? Kat, do you want to talk about the planning process or discussions? Or Brian, do you want to take?
I'm not entirely sure I understand the question. Can you repeat it, please?
There is a categorical exclusion of access to non-vehicular facilities on one side of the project. Can you explain how you prioritize turn lanes over sidewalks?
I don't know that it is a matter of prioritization. We have taken this project through and with, we'll say, in coordination with the Integrated Mobility Division of NCDOT, who reviews all projects to make sure that we are in compliance with the Complete Streets policy. They have affirmed that we meet FHWA's safety guidance with the 10-foot multi-use path on one side. So that is the option that we chose. And any additional sidewalks and et cetera would be generally, I believe, are considered, I would have to confirm, a betterment by, that would need to have an agreement with, in this case, the county for a cost sharing option with NCDOT if that is something that the county wanted and the MPO agreed with for the project.
Right, and we do have space. We are building a berm over there that would have space for a future sidewalk.
That is correct, yes.
Also from Terry Lansdale, what is the design speed of the road today versus the planned improvements? And I believe it will stay at 45 miles an hour. Is that correct?
Yes, the posted speed limit will still be 45 miles an hour.
All right, thank you. Next from Robert Bringard, how will all of this building affect our flooding situation at the entrance of Farrington Farms? Doug, do you want to take that from a design standpoint?
Nah, Jamil, I'll take that one.
Okay.
We're in the process right now of doing the drainage investigations and drainage designs on the project. So if there, if anybody knows of any flooding issues, my name is on the correspondence, James Bird. Send that information to me, and we will make sure we take that into account when we do our designs for the project. But one thing to know and understand, there's outfalls along this project where all the stormwater goes right now. One of the things that that will ensure that we do is we will not be diverting any stormwater from one outfall to another outfall. So that is one of the design directives that we abide by, is making sure we don't increase or divert any water from one outfall to another outfall. So I'm not aware of any flooding problems at that intersection, but again, if you'll send us that information, we'll investigate it and take it into account during our designs.
Thanks, James. Next, we have a question from Philip Schuster. Can you give us the approximate start date again and length of construction process? Will water and sewer utilities be disrupted as well? The schedule, as I gave it to you, the current schedule is to begin construction or be awarded for construction in the summer of 2024. In talks, we believe it would be a 3 to 4 year time frame for construction. Will water and sewer utilities be disrupted as well? I believe water and sewer will be maintained throughout. There may, unless there's an issue with construction, things do happen, but I wouldn't anticipate any disruption to your water and sewer.
Yeah, and I'll add on to that as well. You know, right now there's an existing water line on the south side of Gordon Road that'll be relocated. Any water and sewer work will be done as part of the project. And that we're not to that design phase of the project yet, but we're starting to look at preliminary routings for water and sewer. We know there's multiple dwellings along the project corridor that have septic systems. We're also in the process of trying to identify and locate all those septic systems and make a determination as to whether or not we're going to impact them or not impact them. And one of the other things we'll be looking at in the design process is the potential for extending gravity sewer to serve some areas right now that currently aren't served by gravity sewer. And we'll coordinate with the department and CFPUA on that. And that'll be in those talks are ongoing right now. Those designs will probably be starting sometime in the early spring of 2022.
All right, thank you, sir. Again, Terry Lansdale, how do I cross the street at White Road? I don't know. Are you crossing? Are you saying crossing White Road or crossing Gordon Road from?
Jamil, I think he's asking how do you go across Gordon Road? And our project is not connecting across the road because we don't have bike or pedestrian facilities on the south side. So I guess you would do it like you do today. You kind of go when there's a gap. Granted, that will be a signal, so maybe there's a better chance to do it after this project's built.
Yeah, and also the median could help with some refuge or something. I don't know.
Yeah, going halfway.
Yep. Next, we have Michael Torbett. I believe New Hanover County is planning on building a new fire station on Gordon Road. How does this plan affect that? Brian or Kat?
I'll take it.
All right, Dan.
We had some conversations with the New Hanover County Fire Department early on in the design process. They were looking at some property on the south side of the road. None of those conversations moved forward, and we haven't had any conversations with them probably in the last 6 to 9 months. That's fairly accurate, right, Brian?
Yeah, I actually did have a conversation recently with the fire chief, I believe, for New Hanover County, just in regards to some property they're looking at again. I would say we are, like I say, they are staying in touch with us to kind of work through that coordination and looking at a property that they want to get, so they'll know the impacts to that property ahead of time and make their plans for their new station in a way that won't be impacted when we come through with this project.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next, we have Amanda Hatcher. I live off the intersection of Gordon and White Road, and as of now, it is a pain getting out of our driveways during peak traffic times. Will the intersection be expanded to help with this? The intersection will be improved. Not looking at the design, but do we have dedicated right turn lanes as well there?
Yes, it will be 2 lanes through in each direction on Gordon Road, and then coming off of White Road from the northern side, you'll have a through and left and a right turn lane. And then on the south side, it'll just be a left through and right. It's a shared lane. But the way the signal works, you'll have full access to go any direction.
All right. Thanks, Doug. Instead, we have another design question. If you're traveling east on Gordon Road, will you be able to turn left into the Speedway and CVS, or will you need to do a U-turn at the Gordon and Market Street intersection? I believe that's part of the U 4751 or the military cutoff extension improvements.
Yes, it is. So they'll have to do a U-turn at the Market Street signal.
Terry Lansdale, how do I cross the street at Daniel Boone Trail? And how do I cross the street at Gordon Acres? I believe that question has been answered. Again, we are not providing any facilities, pedestrian facilities on the other side of the road. So there are no crosswalks at those locations. So as Doug said, as you cross it now, you would probably be safe to go down to White Road and make that to cross Gordon Road. Buffy Andrews, is there any reason for U-turns versus roundabouts in terms of ease of traffic? Well, I will ask Doug to speak to that, but I will tell you roundabouts are more of a traffic calming device, not meant for moving traffic. It is a very safe design for intersections, but not for this type of facility. But Doug, would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much nailed it. The traffic that's projected to be out there is going to be on the higher side of a double lane roundabout. For this type of facility, that's not what we would really want to put, especially with that kind of volume, as well as double lane roundabouts. When they are full 2 lanes all the way around, I don't want to say we're not ready for 2 lane roundabouts, but they don't seem to operate as well as the traditional signals.
Mm-hmm. Next, Sean Rowan again. If you have to make a right, where we can go left currently, will we be able to make a U-turn at a full intersection? Yes. The answer is yes to that. Next, we have Terry Lansdale again. The next 2 questions, how do I cross the street at Wick Farm Way? And how do I cross the street at Wood Sorrel Road? And those answers would be consistent with your previous questions. Next, Chris Bailey. Have you studied what impacts the new bypass will have on Gordon Road when complete? Will there not be less traffic? Andrew, would you like to take that?
Sorry, I had a little internet burp there. What was the question?
Sorry. Have you studied what impacts the new bypass will have on Gordon Road when complete? Will there not be less traffic?
Sure thing. So as part of the project, we go through a process of creating a traffic forecast, which gives you traffic volumes for not only the base year, but also the future year. And the future year traffic forecast is based off of the MTP travel demand model. And the travel demand model includes all planned projects, all fiscally constrained projects for the area, including the bypass, including military cutoff road extension, and all of the other projects in the area. The traffic for the future year includes those elements in the network. And so anything that we have analyzed and all the volumes that are included in our future year analysis include or assume those projects to be in place. So anything that we've analyzed, anything that we've recommended from a traffic standpoint is based on all of those projects being implemented and in place.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next, Terry Lansdale again with how do I cross the street at Farrington Road? Farrington Farms Road is I believe a signalized intersection, so definitely be a safer place to cross the road at that point. But again, we're not providing any facilities on the pedestrian facilities on that southern side in that area. Next, Robert Bringard. With no capability of a left turn from Ogden Park Road, how can you keep the park traffic from coming through Daybreak Lane in the Farrington Farms development? This will be putting a lot of traffic in a residential neighborhood and devaluating our homes. Andrew, Doug, you want to?
That's actually a great comment. So that's something we're going to need to work on. And I see what he's talking about. If you don't want to go down Ogden all the way to Gordon to make the right and then do the U-turn, there is a shortcut through the neighborhood. So we can work with DOT to figure out the best way to limit that kind of movement. Great question.
Next, Terry Lansdale, how do I cross the street at Ogden Park Drive? And also, how do I cross the street at Harbor Apartments? And again, the previous responses would be consistent here. Next, we have Brian Johnson. Mr. Johnson has left the meeting, but he had a question. What is the likelihood that this is a fully approved plan and when? You have spent a lot of money on renderings. I'm assuming this is moving forward. I am being displaced according to the map and would like to know if it takes months to be paid for fair market value. And can that be adjusted for the ability to purchase a comparable house in Wilmington in the spring or summer when values are historically high? The plan is approved to move forward. It is funded. The right-of-way question, I will have to ask Ben to speak to that.
Sure. Right. Like I said before, everything is fair market value, like you were selling it on the open market. Our appraisals are done and only considered valid up for a year. So the fluctuation in price shouldn't be that great. And again, that price is negotiable. So, you know, if you're meeting with the agent and you have information that counteracts our appraisal, then let them be known, and those things will be taken into consideration in the negotiation process. And it's kind of depends on, as far as length, how well you work together. I mean, things do take time, but you know, the main thing we're doing is getting appraisal back. But once we have that appraisal and you're made an offer, things can be closed out in, you know, a month to 2 months before you would see your check, once you've agreed to a settlement.
Thanks, Ben. Again, Terry Lansdale, where's the safe places to ride in the road without any bike lanes or separated facilities? You do have the 10-foot multi-use path, but Kat, do you want to take that? Or Doug?
I believe you covered it, Jamil. The separated multi-use path is 10 feet wide to accommodate both bicyclists and pedestrians. And of course, in accordance with North Carolina law, bicycles can still use the roadway facility.
Yeah, did we consider in planning, did we ever consider, Kat, bicycle lanes or shared lanes? Was that ever discussed?
No, because of the aforementioned 10-foot multi-use path.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have Carol Stein. Safety is the #1 goal. The public transportation plan also reflects safety is needed and a priority. Continuous linear movement on both sides of the roadway is necessary. When reviewing the total plan, reviewing the signalized intersections, do not reviewing the signalized intersections do not reflect crosswalks on each side of the roads. This is crucial for all active transportation members in our community. Understand also, this needs to be reviewed with additional sidewalk facilities to ensure there is a continuous flow of safety on all sides of the project. Thank you for that comment. Again, Terry Lansdale, there are no bike lanes. I believe we just spoke to that. Next, Sean Rowan. Will there be any crosswalks so we on the southern side of Gordon Road can get to the path on the northern side? Again, we've answered that. Right now, no, there are no crosswalks across Gordon Road at this point. Cynthia Brown asks, will the 10-foot multi-use path be lighted? Will the state maintain it? Does
The multi-use path is in the DOT right of way, so that will be state maintained. And as I was talking about earlier, the lighting is still in question as to where and how frequent that will show up.
Okay, thanks, Doug. Again, Terry Lansdale, there are 0 access points to the path from the southern side of the roadway with right-of-way available. How does NCDOT design there's a typo there, I don't know. How does NCDOT design travel lanes for vehicles but not for active transportation users? I believe we've addressed that question. Next, Chris Bailey, will the U-turn at Market Street be large enough to handle trucks and trailers?
I don't believe it'll accommodate a WB6, well, a tractor trailer, sorry, technical. But it will accommodate a like box truck or UPS truck. So anything bigger than that will have trouble. And those drivers should be able to schedule routes based on what they can actually make that movement or where they can make that movement.
Okay. Next question, Terry Lansdale again. How do I cross the road at North College Road? On that side, there are really no changes. The intersection is getting a little bit wider, but you would cross as you would today. Ashley Goodell, as a resident of Farrington Farms, we are very concerned about the diversion of traffic from Ogden Park Drive to Daybreak Lane, and then to the full movement traffic light at Gordon and Farrington Farms, especially during high traffic events at Ogden Park. Farrington Farms Drive is not very well maintained currently by the state, and that section in particular floods often. And again, that is a good comment, and as stated before, we will be have to look into that. The next question, Terry Lansdale again, are any of the properties available for MAP Act settlements? And the answer to that is no, the MAP Act was not implemented in this on this project. Let me make sure I didn't miss. I was trying to scroll through. I may have missed someone. Okay. Next, Karen Beatty. If most of the widening is south, how will residential utilities be impacted? Will residents have to temporarily move? Explain the 20 feet again and which side? I believe we answered that, but Doug, if you want to speak to that again.
Sure. So in general, we did shift the road to the south side. Obviously, when you get closer to Market Street, we're kind of right down the middle again and impacting both sides. As for the utilities, obviously there's utilities on both sides of the road, and us widening out, we're going to impact utilities on both sides of the road. If we say hit your gas line or electric line out in front of your house, and that's not hit in terms with the guy with the tractor, that's just, we will have conflicts when we are scheduled to be out there. We will schedule your power with you or your gas to be out while they make that change over to the new line. So it's not just going to be an abrupt, you come home and there's no power kind of thing. So you shouldn't be needing to be relocated for some extended period while we're doing utility work.
Thank you. Next, Terry Lansdale, what is the first opportunity for a resident adjacent to the I-40 interchange to cross Gordon Road? Adjacent to, I'm thinking the previous comments, responses cover that. Doug, you want to?
Right. I think what he's getting at is we only have a crosswalk all the way at the end of the project at Netherlands Drive. So anywhere along the corridor, if you wanted to make that crossing, you would just have to do it when there was a gap in traffic or at a signal that should promote a better gap in traffic.
Right. All right, thank you. Next, we have Carol Stein. Understand the multi-use path is being provided. However, for some of the active transportation, however, on several sections of Gordon Road do not allow continuous safe movement from one side of this heavily traveled road to the other side. If safety is the goal, both sides of the road need to have accessible access and crossings. There are major gaps, and it is a significant hazard for pedestrians and other active transportation users. Need to take a deeper dive how this may be accomplished. Again, thank you again for that comment. I believe this has been a reoccurring comment, and so definitely something that we need to have a discussion about. Next, Karen Beatty asks, is that 20 feet of eminent domain?
It's not. It would be in the same realm of the right-of-way negotiations where it is only an easement usually for utilities, and so typically you would retain the land rights, and we would have to pay you for that easement.
Next, Terry Lansdale again. Are there any mid-block crossings planned based upon the crash data? And as Doug just stated, the only crossing is at Netherlands Drive, and prior to that, there are none. Or outside of that, there are none at this point in time. What time is it? 7:11. We're past our time, but we'll stay on for about another 10, 15 minutes and try to answer as many questions as we can. If we do not get through these questions, keep in mind, I said we will have a meeting following the end of the public comment period, sometime in the first of the year, to go through the comments, discuss those comments, and create responses for those comments. So if you don't get an answer here, we will follow back up with you. We will get an answer to you. Ashley Goodell, how will HOAs be compensated for the eminent domain of common entry areas? Ben, do you want to take that?
Sure, the HOA will work just like if we were working one-on-one with a person. We'll work with the HOA, have that area appraised, make the HOA an offer. Now they can take that back to their board and work through that way is typically how it's done. But again, if it's deeded to the HOA is the one that will be compensated for the property.
Thanks, Ben. Terry Lansdale again, what are the pedestrian design considerations for the exit ramps at I-40? Again, on the northern side, there will be a crosswalk. Is that correct, Doug? I'm not looking at the designs. I'm just trying to think through it.
Yeah, on the north side, we have all the connection underneath the I-40 bridge currently, and nothing on the south again.
Thank you. So Cynthia Brown says, so the question about multi-use path lighting has been answered. However, what considerations are being given to security as there will be new foot and bike traffic along Gordon Road? Will there be any type of buffer between the homes facing Gordon and the multi-use path? I do not believe there will be any additional buffer or fencing, but I will defer to Doug.
I should just leave this on.
Yeah,
No, you're right. It's what we have shown is what we would typically do. So none at this time.
Thank you. Next, Carol Stein again. Additional references for the inclusion of sidewalk and crosswalks to Gordon Road can be found in the MTP, the 2045 MTP, where this road is referenced several times for improvements, as well as several references to the CTP, the Comprehensive Transportation Plan. Will this roadway be reclassified from a thoroughfare to a super street? Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I ran into another comment. So, Ms. Stein, thank you for your comment. The next question was from Terry Lansdale again. Will this roadway be reclassified from a thoroughfare to a super street? And super street is not a classification.
It is a urban arterial.
Urban arterial. All right. Mr. Lansdale, or I'm assuming Mr. Terry Lansdale again, let me not assume, is this project eligible for safety funding? Brian, do you want to take that?
I might see if David is still on here, if he might be able to speak better to that, because I'm not exactly sure the process on that. But at this point, my thought is I don't think it is it would be eligible to safety funding, being we have the this project as a TIP project. David, do you have any comments towards that?
Yeah, this project's funded with highway trust funds, I believe, farm money as well. So it is not currently funded with safety funds.
You're breaking up a little bit.
I think what he said was this project was is funded with the highway trust funds, and it's not going to be funded with any safety funds. I think that's what I heard.
All right. Mr. Terry Lansdale again. With this project classified for a 4-lane divided, how does the addition of up to 2 turn lanes in either direction not considered a betterment? Anyone take a stab at that? I'm not clear on that question.
I believe extra turn lanes seems like it's a betterment, but in this case, those lanes are required for the capacity analysis and the throughput of the facility. So they're not, they are needed, and it's not just something that we just put there as a betterment or something that someone asked for, which is typically alluded to for like a sidewalk that is added later. As you've seen here, we don't technically have to put a sidewalk in some locations. And if it's added later, it's considered a betterment.
Right. Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere, Doug. Come back. James Hall states, he says, I own business property at 6640 Gordon Road. When Mr. Wheatley indicated that all of the acquisition of property would be on the south side of Gordon Road. However, in your slideshow, it indicates no business property will be displaced. Can he explain the discrepancy?
I can. I just looked you up. So you're across from the Ogden Park intersection. In general, this project is widened to the south, but down on your end, we're kind of more center of the road and widening equally on both sides. And so I believe you saw in the public meeting map fly through, as well as the visualization, that we're showing easements and right of way being taken from your side.
I'll jump in. I think, Jamil, what I think I heard you read too was you commented that in the presentation it said there didn't say there were any business relocations, and I think that may be where a little confusion is. That that's correct. There's no business relocations, but there will be some right of way taken from businesses and residential, but it wouldn't be a relocation as in the structure isn't being impacted and the businesses that are in that location won't have to relocate due to the right of way impacts.
Yeah, that's important clarity. Right of way impacts are not, the displacement is more the severity of a right of way impact, right? It's a type of right of way impact, but doesn't mean just because you're not being displaced or relocated that there are no right of way claims with you. Next, Allison Busher again. The grassy medians are nice and much better than solid cement. Is this a guaranteed piece of the project? Also, is there a way to get the entire median grassy? Will there be any trees or bushes planted in those medians?
So what you see that is green in the public meeting maps will be grass. Now, we can't guarantee it because we have small changes for the life of the project. So like a turn lane could get slightly longer in the right-of-way phase, for example, or if there's a new development that somehow gets put in before we're done, there'll be maybe a leftover there that'll take up some of that green space. So our intent is to do what is shown today. As for the plantings, there is DOT landscaping guidelines. I believe the medians can't be higher than like 18 inches. And obviously that's for safety reasons. We don't want to put in a tree that in 10 years would crush a car if someone were to run into it. The small plants, I guess, are allowed to be run over if you make an error.
Thank you. Next, we have Richard Noss. The houses on the east side of Blackberry Road have empty lots behind them that doesn't have access. Will the Gordon project open access to these lots for future development? Doug, I assume you have the designs up.
Yeah, typically, that kind of will come up during the right-of-way process where it talks about access, and when you're in negotiation with how your business is being run and the type of circular flow through the property, you may need to driveways when we thought you didn't. So that's where that negotiation process happens, and we do add them back during right-of-way. So it's not uncommon for that to happen.
All right. Sean Rowan left a comment. Given that answer about crossing like you do it now, 4+ lanes, people will be killed. The suggestion, that was his comment. Next, Terry Lansdale, the suggestion of a mid-block crossing is an unsafe act due to the design, is it not?
I mean, it's not preferred, but you could walk down the road to a signal since we're adding 4 or 5 signals. If you felt it was unsafe to cross at an unsignalized location.
Elizabeth Foreman, she's just left, but her comment was, this may have been asked already, but will we be able to turn across Gordon Road to get into Walgreens or CVS? In other words, will the median allow access to both sides of the street, or will it be like Kerr where you have to go down the street to make a U-turn? The way that was designed is extremely inconvenient, and we did answer that, and you would have to make a U-turn. Shamika Thomas, in areas where there are no public sewer connections, are you upgrading the infrastructure to allow property owners on septic systems to connect to public sewer? James, if you want to take that.
Sure. If we're not impacting your septic system, your drain field, or your repair area, then the likelihood of being served by public sewer is greatly reduced. It doesn't mean it's non-existent, because we may need to extend public sewer past your property, which would provide the opportunity to connect. But if we're not impacting the septic system, then you would not be connected as part of the project.
All right. Elizabeth Foreman, why does there need to be a median that blocks turning? Well, we spoke to that, and Doug, you want to?
It's strictly for safety, and also that median allows us to a place for the left turns to occur without having the road vary in and out all over the place. But it's for that RCI design and safety primarily.
All right, so we're going to wrap on up here. We have, we'll take it out 5 more minutes, and then we'll adjourn this meeting. Next, Ashley Goodell. Why isn't there going to be a full movement light at Ogden Park Drive and Gordon to account for Ogden Park traffic, as well as the school bus traffic from Eaton Elementary? Yeah, Doug.
So this was a little bit of a debate, because we've already got lights at Netherlands and Farrington Farms, and the way that the left turns needed to be staggered between those two, we couldn't put another signal between them because there was no place for the lefts to actually be. They were already taken by the other lights, and having 3 lights that close in succession typically means they don't operate very well, or people will queue into the intersection and block, like we all know they shouldn't, but they do. And so this was our best way to get the traffic to function in the area. And we understand it's not ideal, because the Eaton Elementary has buses that are now having to do U-turns when they didn't used to have to do that. So we're trying our best to meet the function of all traffic in the area.
All right, thank you. Brian Johnson, your comments are noted. Taking questions in order in which they are received. Again, let's see, where am I? Again, another comment from Sean Rowan about we need crosswalks for pedestrians and bikers, even in Market and Gordon right now. Can we please look at this? Robert Knowles, not a new question, but I agree that the Ogden Park interchange needs to be improved. Come drive through on Saturday morning to see the mayhem. All right, thank you, sir. And we'll take two more questions. Amanda Hatcher, will a sound barrier be installed in residential areas along the north side of Gordon Road? And I believe the answer will be no. Andrew or?
Well, so we're currently undergoing a traffic noise report. There's nothing to report at this time, just that we are undertaking that process right now.
Okay. Let's see, but one of the issues with a sound barrier with all of the driveways would be the disruption. So you wouldn't, the wall wouldn't be able to be designed to provide the protection or the attenuation that it would be needed in a lot of places along Gordon Road, I would believe. And I'll take this last question. How can we get to the 10-foot multi-use path if we are on the south side of the street? That was from Sean Rowan again.
If you're in the vicinity of the Netherlands intersection, there's a crosswalk there. Otherwise, with the median, probably be best to find a gap in traffic and go halfway, or walk down Gordon Road either direction to the nearest signal where gaps are usually more frequented.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug. So with that, we are over about 30 minutes and just some more questions coming in. Again, we will take all these questions back and we will respond to these questions. The one thing I want to note, you see on the screen all the ways to provide feedback. Again, this is the purpose of this phase of the project. We definitely want to hear from you. I think we got a lot of good comments tonight. And thank you so much for your participation. Please encourage your neighbors, friends, and family that live along Gordon Road or just off of Gordon Road to go online and provide feedback, because that really helps us out as this project progresses. Again, comments, we are accepting comments through January 3rd. So with that, I will adjourn tonight's meeting. Thank you so much for coming out and being involved. And again, encourage your neighbors to do the same and send us some feedback. Thanks so much.